Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm here to do the New York Times by the book tag. I will leave the actual real well-written questions in the description bar below. But the first question is, what book is in your nightstand now? And I have two books. One of them is the one that I'm reading right now, which is the Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan. This is the third installment of the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'm almost finished. Yeah, and I have to finish soon because I have mental reading to read. But I'm really enjoying it so far, and this is getting into the intense bit, so I won't talk about it. But yeah, I have this one because I'm reading it right now, and I also have a comic book which is very unlike me, and that is Paper Girls Volume 1. And yeah, I've heard this mentioned on YouTube and also on a bookstagram, and so I bought it because it was one of the cheap ones, because it's only like 10 euros. So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. My boyfriend kind of read it a little bit while I was buying other stuff at a store, and he was like, this sounds cool, you chose well. And I'm like, thank you, because I never read comics, so I really hope I enjoy this one. The second question was, what was the last really great book that you've read? And for this one, I want to say The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan, the first installment in the Heroes of Olympus series, because that one I was grabbed. I was like into it from the first page to the last one, and it was really great to read it. But great read, I would say, was Emma by Jane Austen. Jane Austen. This woman can do no wrong. Her books are amazingly well written. I love her so much, and so for me to read Emma was like just a delight. It was great. I loved it. So yeah, I love the experience of reading Jane Austen books. They are so well written and so witty and interesting and amazing. And so yeah, Jane Austen for sure, I think. I don't know. I don't feel like I've read amazing books, which is weird. I don't know. I feel very weird about the fact that the last amazing book I've read is from my favorite author. It's like I haven't discovered anything new in the past years, where I should have actually met new authors? I don't know. Third question is, if you could meet any author, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to know? There's only three authors that I would die to know. So Jane Austen, obviously, because God, that woman was a genius. I would like to know her just because there's so much superstition and so much theory, but not a lot of like real information. So we don't actually know if she like didn't marry because she didn't want to, or if she didn't marry because she didn't have the chance, or how was her? Was she like a cold, cynical person, or was she like a happy, witty person that sees things and is very ironic but not like negative? I don't know. I would really just like to know her. So if I could just sit with her and just like be her friend, imagine if I lived in that time, just know her would be like amazing, I think. I don't know. That's one of my things. And alive, I would say either Isabel Allende or J.K. Rowling, but because everyone says J.K. Rowling, I'm gonna go with Isabel Allende. Isabel Allende is a Chilean author, and I've loved her since I was like 10 years old, and she is amazing, and she has so much to tell, and her life is so interesting. So I would really love to just talk to her and like ask her about stuff, and especially about how she came about to write House of the Spirits, and like her first book, which is like her greatest novel. And what's like, I know a little bit about her because she does write slightly autobiographically sometimes, but I'm very fascinated by her. Question 4 is, what books would you be surprised to find on my bookshelves? And I mean, it's not that you would be surprised, because I haven't stopped being a teenager that long ago. I mean, some people still think I am, because look at my face. I'm 21, guys. Nobody believes me. But that would be Wicked Lovely, the first volume, and the second, which I haven't read, because I got the second almost for free, so like, I bought it because I'd read this one recently, and it just stays there now. Yeah. This is a story, this is like, you know that time where everyone was writing paranormal fantasy novels, like Twilight and stuff? Yeah, this is about fairies in the real world. And yeah, the first one was interesting when I read it, but now I don't feel like I want to read the second one, but it's there, right there. So yeah. Question 5 is, how do you organize your library? So my bookshelves are organized in a very interesting way. So usually I like to organize them by genre, firstly, and then I like to organize them either by size, if there's like a genre that's more general, so YA or classics, mandatory reading. When it's historical, fiction or non-fiction, I like to organize them by time period and authors. So sometimes I'll organize by time period, and sometimes when I have like 3 from the same author, I will put them together in chronological order and not by publication date. Yeah, I'm all around that. My library is a very particular thing. And then the extra books that don't fit anymore went into another bookshelf and are all in a corner. And some of them you don't see, which I don't like. I don't like to put like 2 rows of books. I'm weird. But yeah, so genre. So here, for example, you have YA and middle grade. Here you have fantasy. Down here you have more fantasy that I don't read, and down it's the infantil juvenil, so the Portuguese literature for like middle grades. Above this one is historical non-fiction, mainly Portuguese one, and then I have 2 big shelves of historical fiction. The top one is like all around the world, and the second one is more Portuguese, but also Philippa Gregory. And then there's another one filled with YA, which again is by size, but then the other row, I can show you. The other row is by, it's more like mandatory reading, classics, stuff like that. And it's by size. And it's a mess. And then there's one down there which is like general fiction, like chiclets mostly. So yeah, that's the mess I have. 6 is, what book have you always wanted to read and haven't read yet? Anything you feel embarrassed you haven't read? For that one, I have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I mention Mary Shelley like 3 times every month. I'm a big fan of her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft. I haven't read Frankenstein yet because I haven't had a class that forced me to read it. I tried to read it last year, couldn't start. I started it in the beginning of this year. Felt really weird on the bus, like, I don't know if it's the anxiety of reading something that's usually told as a scary story. I'm really not into scary stuff, so I'm waiting. But yeah, I'm really embarrassed that I haven't read it because I'm a literature student of English literature. So yeah, shame. 7 is overrated, disappointing, just not good. What book did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? Or do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? I do not remember the last book I put down without finishing. Or I kind of do, but I'm not finished with it. I'm just like trying to feel like I want to read it. But I do remember the last book was quite disappointing. And that's because one of my friends advised it to me. And I don't know if it's because I've read so much Jane Austen and I've watched so many BBC adaptations about that time period, like, you know, also about from Gaskell books, Elizabeth Gaskell books, and also Charles Dickens and romance stories in that time. So reading what it's apparently called in the internet by not BookTube as historical fiction is very different in English literature as than for Portuguese literature, apparently. So this is Julia Quinn, first book in the Bridgerton's series, and it's so explicit. Like, what? it. I devoured it. It's very addicting, but I could not feel like I was actually reading historical fiction. I just feel like I was reading fan fiction or romance novels, you know, all those covers with the guy without a shirt and yeah, just like women like this. So it was really weird, and so yeah, I was really disappointed that I didn't love it as much as my friend did. Question 8 is, what kinds of stories are you drawn to and any you stay clear of? And yeah, I am addicted to historical fiction, real historical fiction, so like Philippa Gregory. Books like The White Queen, The Other Brilliant Girl, and also Portuguese ones in this genre, which is like fictionalizing historical events and historical characters. I'm obsessed. I have too many to count, really. There's not one published in Portugal which I haven't heard of or own. It's ridiculous. That being said, the other end of the spectrum, so the genre I stay away from, it's thriller or what you'd consider like murder mystery. I do not read Agatha Christie, for example. It's just not really motivating for me. I don't even like follow any crime series or anything, so it's like not really my thing. Especially thriller is not really for me at all. Like Stephen King is something I stay very, very away from. 9 is, if you could require one book for your president to read, what would it be? Now, my president in Portugal is very well read. He was a university teacher. He had a TV show once about like where he advised books as well. So he's very well read. So I wouldn't dare to advise him to read a book. However, if you're talking about a certain president, and the question does say the president, I just would like to point out Persepolis by Marianne Satrapi, because self-explanatory. So I would actually advise everyone to read this, just to know, just for knowledge. Knowledge is good, guys. But yeah, Persepolis. And 9 is what you plan to read next, and that is one of my mandatory readings. For one of my classes. So I plan on reading Mrs. Dalloway, and also for a bit of entertainment while I'm stuck here because my book just fell. So, and also Paper Girls, because I bought it recently and I really want to get through it, and it's easy to get through something like this. So yeah, these two are my next reads, and they are on my nightstand as well. So that is all from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. All my media links are down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like or subscribe. And I hope to see you soon with another video. Goodbye!